Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is Carl Salmon Osata. I hope you've been fine. So to my returning subscribers, thank you so much, and if you are new, please remember to subscribe, like and comment. You can comment on areas that you would like me to cover. So today our topic is preliminary site works. So you want to know the preliminary works that are to be done before you commence the actual project. So you can see the preliminary site works. These are the initial operations carried out on the site before commencement of the actual structure. The works include access to the site. So when you are doing a preliminary work for a site, you must first ensure that the site is easily accessible. There are road networks that are connecting you to the site, which you'll use to transport the materials. The laborers will use to get inside and go outside the site. Then the next thing that you'll do is clearing the site. You must first ensure before commencing the works, you must first ensure that the site is clear from any kind of bushes, trees, and shrubs and any other thing that may distract you while working. Then the next thing, you look at the access on the site. The access on the site, how the site is easily accessed, the location of the site to the materials, the location of the site to the other services that you may need when you are doing the works. Then the next one is fencing and hoarding. Fencing and hoarding, ideally it entails the security of the site. So you can do the fencing works for your site, or you can do the hoarding for the place where your project is going to be done. Then the datum establishment, you'll come up with the datum point where you'll do your references from. Then provision of hatchments, you'll provide houses for your laborers and the office of the site office, then the store, those are the hatchments. Then the provision of services, there are other services that you may need, like the electricity, like any other service that will be relevant to the works you'll do. Then you have the soil investigation. So before you do any works in a specific place, you must first do a soil test. You must investigate that soil so that you can know the bearing capacity of that soil. That is the basic that will lead you to the number of story building you will construct in that area, or the number of structure, or the type of structure you will construct in that area. So the first one is the access to the site. Usually roads are an integral part of the contract, especially if it is a housing estate or a factory. So access to the site is majorly the road networks that are leading into the site where you'll work. So there are factors to consider when constructing access to the site. The first factor is distance to the site location. Distance to the site location. You must first look at the distance that will be covered to reach the specific location of your site. Then the next one, the correct layout of the hatchments. The hatchments are not just being constructed in any place. You must have a relevant layout. You must have a design that explains how your hatchments will be laid. You just don't put them anyhow. Then the area size of the site. The size of your site you must know when you're doing the access. The size of the site you must know. Then you have the signpost erection. The signpost erection, the essence of the signpost is to guide those who are coming to your site, the specific place where your location, your site point is. And the signpost also will show the kind of works you'll do, the name of the contractor that is doing it, the financial, the relevant bodies that are supervising that specific work. So the signpost is also important. Then we also say that another relevant thing is the site clearance. So site clearance, as I had just said, that this involves demolition existing structures. If there is any structure that is to be demolished, you do the demolition works. Then you have the grabbing up of roots, the bushes, stumps, etc. And removal of topsoil also is entailed in the site clearance. Okay, so there are reasons why you remove the topsoil. Topsoil is removed when you are doing the site clearance. So the first reason why you remove the topsoil, to provide a hard level surface for the commencement of the building. So that, remember, that topsoil is it is the vegetable soil. It is not always having a bearing capacity that can enhance it to carry any structure. So it is always advisable that you remove it so that you can reach a hard ground that can sustain the loads of the building that you'll erect. Then the vegetable soils contain organisms and chemicals necessary for the growth of plants. There are various organisms in the plants, and it is the topsoil which which is fertile that will make other vegetables to grow on it, which may affect your building. For example, there are other buildings they are erected, then you'll see after some period of time you'll see things like grass are growing inside your house. That one means that the vegetable soil was not removed properly, because it is the vegetable soil that contains the organisms that will help in the growth of those things like the grass. It also contains some chemicals that may affect or that may corrode things like steel. When you're using steel, there are some chemicals that may lead to corrosion of steel. There are some chemicals that may weaken the strength of the concrete that you are using. Then point number 3, it has unreliable bearing capacity. Vegetable soil does not have a bearing capacity that can help it to withhold the loads that are injected by the structure that you've come up with. Then the vegetable soil is also removed to prevent plants from growing underneath the ground floor and encourage dry rots. I've just said that one. Then it is unstable and cannot compact into solid natural foundation. Vegetable soil is not that stable to sustain the loads that are subjected to it. Then we have the temporary roads. The temporary roads, where you have a case that you are erecting a site in a place that there is no proper access, you'll come up with some temporary roads. But you'll first consult the local authorities and they'll give you the go-ahead to erect the temporary roads. So temporary roads always helps in the transporting of materials inside and out of the site. There are surplus materials, the debris that may be removed from the site. The temporary roads will help you to transport them out the site. Then there are materials, the hard materials, the coarse and the fine materials that are needed to be used inside the site. You'll also bring them inside the site when you're using the temporary roads. So there are some major components of a temporary roads. We have ballast, hogging, hardcore, patterned fabric or welded steel. Then you have timber, sleepers. So the ballast, hogging and hardcore, this can be laid and rolled into a hard surface. If good drainage is provided, this road can be most efficient and economical, provided it is laid on a hard dry surface. So this is the layout or the diagram of a temporary road. It has a drainage trench which is helping with the drainage system of that place. Then it has a camber. Camber is that slope. If you are keen, or maybe you may not know, but remember, in any type of road there must be a camber. The camber is which helps the road to for drainage works. When it rains, it prevents the water from clogging inside the road surface. So we have a camber there. Then we have 50mm thick hogging or 75mm thick hardcore. Hardcore is to strengthen the road, yeah, or to create a hard surface for laying the road finish. Then we have patterned fabric Those are part of the road works. It is also here the patterned fabric and the camber there, then the fabric pegged down at edges. Then you have the timber slippers. Timber slippers is expensive but can be used to an advantage. The ground is prepared and 2 channels cut, one on each side. The slippers are then laid and nailed to the lower members to prevent dislodging. Then you have the riding surface there. Then you have bulks act as fenders. So that is how those temporary roads looks like. Then we proceed. The methods of enclosing the site and their protections. So here is where we talked of fencing and hoarding. Fencing and hoarding. So the methods of enclosing the site. The first method is fencing the site. When you want to ensure security of your site is enhanced, you first fence the site, or you can also do the hoarding. But there are various types of hoarding. Also, there are also various types of fencing depending on the material, depending on the function of that fence that you are erecting. So the type of protection and enclosure chosen will depend on the construction. So the first thing is the degree of security that is required. So you may your site may lie in a place that is not that much secure, and your materials may be stolen while you are not on the site. So that one will lead you to choose a specific type of fence that you'll use. Then the next thing is the cost implication. You may come up with the type of a fence or a hoarding depending on how it will cost you. If it is much expensive, you may prefer a less expensive one. Then the next thing, the type of neighborhood. When your site is in a location where it is not that safe, you'll choose on the specific type of fence you'll use. Then you have the duration of the contract. Duration of the contract also is a factor, because if your contract lasts for a long period of time, you'll have to construct a strong fence that will last for the period of the contract. Then the hoarding is erected when the work has started on the site for the following reasons. Reasons why hoarding is erected. The first reason is to prevent the public from having free access. Remember, the public, while construction work are done, the public who are entering and coming out of the site may lead to distractions inside the site. Also, they may lead to some risk, like when you are using some materials in a rest area, the materials may fall from above and may injure somebody and may force the contractor to incur some cost that he was not prepared for. So that is the major essence of having hoarding in each and every site that we are working on. Then the next thing, to safeguard the structure. Remember, there are some other people who are not having good intentions with the project you are doing, and they may just decide to break the things you've constructed, like walls, like columns. They may just decide to break it. This one is always happening when you've been given a contract or the community have not approved you, but you qualified to do that contract. The community may decide to gang up and destroy all the things that you've done, and that one will lead to loss. So the next thing, to safeguard the building materials that may be stolen when the site is not well hoarded or well fenced. Then to prevent the public from dust and noise associated with the construction activities. In a construction site, there are various noise that will be heard, and there are also some dust, like dust from cements, dust from sand, dust from ballast being offloaded. You may use hoarding to prevent this dust and noise from coming out of the site. Then the fence is used for the following purposes. Why you may use a fence. You may prefer a fence other than hoarding your site. The first is to define the boundaries. The fence will define where where your site area is reaching, and is giving a distinction from what your site is contained with and what is for the other people. Then the limits of the sites will also be shown where the fence will reach. Then it serves as a barrier for protection, security purposes. Then restricts movements, I've said that one. Then limits or stops views. Then forms a visual link or feature between unit blocks. So there are various examples of fences. The first example is the chain link. Then you have the woven wire. Then you have strained wires. Then you have cleft chestnut pale. Then you have close-boarded wooden palisades, metal continuous bars, woven wood wattle panel, concrete panel. So those are the various types of fences that we have. So there's just an example of one here. There is this one, which entails the plywood, the post, the rails, the braces that are supporting the post. Then you have the stalks. Then this is a site holding, yeah. Then we have another one here. There is a warning light for security of a site. A site should be well lighted, yeah. So we have the post there, the brace to support the post. They have 19mm WBP plywood. There is a framing, there is a fender to stop the plywood from movement. The framing from movement, sorry. Then we have the paving slabs removed. Then that is the cross section of a freestanding hoarding. There is also another one here, the wooden palisade fence. This is it. It is majorly you use the woods, the post, and the cross rails. Then you have the fan hoarding. Fan hoarding is majorly used for scaffolding works. When you are doing works that are higher above areas that can be stood, where that a laborer can stand on the ground while working. So you use fan hoarding to prevent materials from falling off the scaffold to the ground. That is where fan hoarding is used. As you can see here, there is a wall support here, then there is a sheeted deck, then there is a fan hoarding here that will prevent the materials from falling downwards. We also have another one here. There is coping. I think you understand what coping is. Then there is a timber post, provision for site stability. That is there. There is also another one there. There are many, so you just understand each and every one of them. Then the other thing that we had said is the demolition works. You may go to a site and find that your site has some structures, some existing structures, but you must first do away with those structures. Is when you commence your works in that site. So you do the demolition works. Demolition works are always categorized. There is partial demolition and there is another demolition where you demolish everything. So this is the complete destruction of the structure. It is the reverse order of the construction. The method of demolition particular structure will be determined by the size of the building. The method which you'll use to demolish a structure, these are the factors that will determine the method you'll use. The first thing, the size of the building, is what will tell you whether you'll use a partial or you'll demolish everything. Then you have its type and method of construction, the type of the building and the method which was used to construct the building. Then you have its location within the site. Yeah. Then we have the distance away from the surrounding buildings. Then the amount of recoverable or salvageable materials, or the amount of just to elaborate on this is the amount of materials that will recover from what you've demolished. You may decide that, or the client may say that you will use some materials from the existing structure to construct the new project that you'll have. So that one will guide you to choose on a specific type of demolition to use. Then the expertise of the particular contractor. The contractor may only hire the expertise who are best at doing the partial demolition works. So that one is also a factor. Then there's some reasons for demolition. The first one is the structural failure. You may decide to demolish a structure when it is not structurally fit to be trusted with the lives of people. So it may be weak structurally. Then another thing another thing is the progress of the society. If it is no longer required due to changes of demand. Then the economic use of land. Maybe you need a story building and they just constructed a structure that is not story. You may decide to demolish that structure and construct a story building so that you can economically use the land that you have. Then there is economic consideration. The structure will cost too much to be repaired. Yeah, when the structure is too old and it needs more of repairs, you will decide to demolish it and construct a new one. So this is a specialist operation and must be done by a specialist contractor. By employing an expert, numerous advantages will be achieved. So demolition works is not just being done by any other person, but there must be a specialist who will guide the people who are demolishing their structures on what to do. The first thing is he can salvage some materials. The specialist is the person who will guide them and tell them that there are some other materials that should be removed with a lot of keenness because they will be used for other projects. Then he can appreciate the factor affecting safety. They will also have adequate insurance cover in event of any mishap or event of any risk. He will have an insurance cover. The cost of the risk will not be incurred by the contractor or the client. There are two types of demolition. As I had said, there is a total demolition where you demolish everything. Then there is also a partial demolition. Partial demolition, just demolish a specific part of a building. So the total demolition, this is where the whole structure is demolished. Then the partial demolition, this is where only part of a structure is removed. So that is that. So there are some of the demolition techniques. The first one is hand demolition, where you use handheld tools. Then we have the fragmentation, where you use machines or chemicals. So types of fragmentation. We have the this is a process where you reduce the building to a heap of rubble by the cheapest method available. The methods are pusher arm, that is you use a machine, it is pusher arm. Then deliberate collapse. When you want to just to demolish a specific part, you use deliberate collapse. Then rope pulling. You'll tie, like you want to demolish a column or a beam, you'll tie it to the rope, then use that rope to demolish it, not affecting maybe the wall. Then you have explosive, use of explosives. When you want to do total demolition, it is advisable you use explosives. But before you use explosives, there are some permits that you must take from the local authorities. Then you have the demolition ball, you have the bursting, you have thermal methods. So they are explained. Pusher arm is explained them. The deliberate collapse is also explained. Explosives is also explained. Yeah, as you can see here, crane and the demolition ball. This is the crane and this is the demolition ball. There is also bursting, there is also thermal method. Then the next thing that we are going to discuss is the provision of hatchments. These are usual wooden structures erected on site to provide for a simple temporary accommodation or for leisure activities and offices. I had just said that. Classification of hatchments. The first one is mobile. Mobile hatchments. We have semi-mobile, we have framed, we have sectional, we have portable framed, then we have air house. Factors to consider when erecting hatchments. Duration of the contract. You may decide to erect a hatchment that will last for the time. If the project is going for a long period of time, it will force you to erect a hatchment or an office that will last for that period. The availability of space within the site. Then you have location of the site, number of employees, size of the contract. Those are some of the factors. Then these hatchments may also be used for storing of a serial site, provision of services. These services which may be encountered on or around the site are the services that you may encounter. The first service is water, the next one is gas, electricity, telephone, sewerages, oil, television. Sorry. Okay, all the services listed are classified into 3 areas. They are classified under 3 areas. The first one is national services, regional services, and the local services. So the appropriate board must be notified before any connection can be made. The following information must be communicated to the local authorities and permission granted before work commences. The first thing is the name and address of the developer of the service. Then we have the location of the land to be developed, then the description of the proposed development, previous use of land, whether a new access will be required from the highway, plan to which the permission refers, then the scale. Then we also have the storage and protection of materials. The type of storage facilities required for any material depends on the following factors. The first factor that is used when you want to store materials, so to protect your materials, the first is the durability of that material. It is durable. Vulnerability of the material, like cement. Then we have the vulnerability to theft. Like for example, just as just have said, we have cement. Cement is supplied in bulk and bags or in drums. Bulk cement is delivered to site by tankers and blown into storage silos by compressed airs. Okay. Aggregates are things like the sand, ballast. Then we have the bricks and blocks. Then we have the timber and joints. These are some kind of materials which you can have in a construction site. Then we have the drainage pipes, locations of plants. You will also specify. Okay, so factors to consider when allocating plants on site. When you will use plants on your site, there's various factors that you will consider when you're locating plants on site. The first one is the availability of space. Then the next one, the working room requirements, mobility on site, then the servicing requirement. Those are the factors. Then there are provision of workers' welfare and safety on site. It is essential to have the interest of all workers on site and provide the best facilities for their upkeep. Advantages from such provisions may include: it reduces pilfering, it serves as an incentive to the operatives, boosts workers' morale, increases productivity. Remember, the welfare of a worker should be catered for by a good contractor. Then the welfare and safety provisions include notices and fees to local authorities. We have watching and lightings. We have maintenance of public and private roads. We have water for the works. Then we have the lighting power. They are explained there. Okay, thank you so much. So that is all for today. We'll proceed with the difficulties encountered when working in a bad weather in our next lesson. Thank you so much for watching this video. and I'm looking forward to seeing you in our next video. May God bless you, and bye for today.